is up, Riftbound fans? It's Squigie here, and welcome back to GG Haven for another beginner's guide video. Today, I got the go-ahead from the boss himself, Sett, to show off why he might be the showstopper in Riftbound. I'm going to break down the champions, battlefields, units, seals, spells, and even our sideboard tech with some tips and tricks to get an edge in competitive and casual play. Let's get into it. Alright, let's talk about some key cards and start with the champion legend, Sett, the boss. Sett is the absolute cornerstone of this deck. His ability reads, when a buff unit you control would die, you may pay 1 rune and exhaust me to spend its buff and recall it exhausted instead. His second ability is, when you conquer, ready me. This is your get out of jail free card. Anytime one of your buff units is about to be destroyed, either in combat or from a spell, you can pay a small cost to save it. It goes back to your base, ready to fight again later. This makes your board incredibly sticky and hard for your opponent to deal with. And since he readies himself every time you conquer a battlefield, you can often use this ability multiple times in one turn. Our chosen champion unit is Sett Brawler. When he's played and when he conquers, he buffs himself. He can also spend his buff to get a massive +4 might for the turn. This card is your primary beat stick. He comes down, gets a buff, and immediately becomes a threat that can be protected by your legend. Spending the buff for +4 might is your finisher. Use it to push for the final point or take out a colossal enemy unit at a battlefield. And we can't forget the card that names the strategy, Showstopper. This spell lets you buff a friendly unit in your base and then immediately move it to a battlefield. This is your ultimate surprise attack. You can deploy a threat out of nowhere already buffed and ready for Sett's protection. Now, let's move on to our battlefields. Our battlefield choices are designed to generate card advantage and keep our buff strategy rolling. First up, we have Grove of the God Willow. When you hold here, draw 1. Simple, effective card draw. In a deck that can run out of gas, holding this battlefield keeps your hands full of options. Next up, Navori Fighting Pit. When you hold here, buff a unit. This is perfect battlefield for our deck. It passively generates buffs for controlling the board, fueling all our synergies. Last battlefield we have is Monastery of Hirana. When you conquer here, you may spend a buff to draw 1. This gives us another way to convert our buffs into card advantage. It's especially good for turns where you're being aggressive and taking over new territory. Now for the crew. These are the units that build our army. Our other champions are Lee Sin Centered. Lee Sin has Accelerate and gives your other buffed units at his battlefield +2 might. He is an incredible force multiplier. A board of small buffed units suddenly becomes a terrifying army when he shows up. The threat of him alone can make your opponent hesitate to challenge that battlefield. And finally, we've got Warwick Hunter. Warwick enters ready and, when he attacks, kills all damaged enemy units at his location. He is your ultimate cleanup tool. After a spell like Cannon Barrage, which we'll talk about later, or a messy combat, Warwick just wipes the enemy's board clean. Now for our non-champion units. Let's discuss Pit Rookie and Kinko Monk are our primary buff spenders. Pit Rookie buffs 1 other unit when you play it, while Kinko Monk buffs 2. Play these when you already have at least 1 or 2 other units on the board to maximize their value. A turn 2 Pit Rookie after a turn 1 unit is a classic strong opening. The next 2 cards up we have are Faithful Manufactor and Machine Evangel. The Manufactor brings a +1 might recruit token with it when played, and the Evangel's Death Knell leaves behind 3 recruit tokens in your base ready to deploy. This gives us plenty of bodies to buff and overwhelm our opponent. Next unit we have is Peak Guardian. He is a powerhouse. When you play him, he buffs himself, and if he's at a battlefield, he buffs all other units there too. Playing this onto a board with 2 or 3 other units can be a game-winning tempo swing. Next up, we have Albus Pharos. It's our secret weapon for resource acceleration. When you play him, you can spend any number of buffs from your units, and for each one spent, you get to channel a rune exhausted. In the mid game, you can cash in early buffs for a massive resource advantage, allowing you to play your expensive champions way ahead of schedule. And our final unit is Bilgewater Bully. This gives us mobility. When he's buffed, he has ganking, letting him move from one battlefield to another. This is perfect for applying pressure exactly where you need it. Now, I'm keeping it simple here, and we're going to move on to our seals. Seal of Unity and Seal of Strength. Straightforward ways to generate order and body power for our key spells and abilities for our cards. Next, we'll move on to our spells. Our first spell we have is Unyielding Spirit. It's a cheap reaction that prevents all spell and ability damage for a turn. This is your answer to board wipes and targeted removal. Next up, we have Cannon Barrage. It's another reaction dealing 2 damage to all enemy units in combat. This softens up the enemy board, setting up favorable trays or a Warwick trigger. Confront is a fantastic tempo play. It lets your units enter ready for the turn and replaces itself by drawing a card. Use it on a big turn to deploy multiple threats that can attack immediately. And finally, we have Challenge. Challenge lets 2 units fight each other directly. Use your big buff units to pick off key enemy threats without having to risk a full-scale assault or combat. And finally, we move on to the Sideboard. A good player knows how to adapt, and our Sideboard deck lets us do just that. First up, we have Vanguard Helm. When a buffed friendly unit dies, buff another friendly unit, bringing this in against control decks that plan to slowly grind you down. It ensures that even when they kill your units, you're still advancing your board state. Next up, we have Noxian Drummer. When I move to a battlefield, play a 1 might recruit unit token here. This is for matchups where you need to go even wider. Every move creates another body to buff. Next up is Call to Glory, a reaction that gives a unit +3 might for the turn. You can even cast it for free by spending a buff. This is a flexible combat trick to win an important fight or push for lethal damage. And finally, we have Vengeance. Kill a unit. Simple, clean, and effective. If your opponent is playing a deck built around one single giant threat, this is your answer. Alright, to wrap it all up, here are my final tips for piloting Sett's crew. Our goal is to establish a wide and powerful board state early using cheap units that buff each other. Then, when we pivot to our mid-game champions such as Lee Sin and Sett to create overwhelming threats. We'll use our buffs as a resource, sometimes spending them for big power plays and other times keeping them on our units to make them resilient to removal, thanks to our legend. This deck wins by controlling the battlefields through superior combat strength and forcing the opponent into trains that are always in our favor. This deck is a blast to play and incredibly powerful in the right hands. You have aggression, resilience, and the power to make some truly explosive plays. That's all for this deck tech. What do you think of this Sett build? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss the next Riftbound deep dive. Until next time, I'm Squeegee. Keep on shuffling.